Hello again. When you consider how much time this government and the courts spend on worrying about the human rights of illegal immigrants and asylum seekers, it comes as a slight surprise to learn that they are now set on removing one of the most fundamental human rights of this country's citizens. This is the right to be tried by a jury and your innocence or guilt established by your peers, that is to say, a group of ordinary people selected at random. In other words, no matter what the police claim, or a lot of expensive lawyers say, or a judge advises, ultimately, anybody accused of burglary, assault, stealing cars, and so on will have their innocence or guilt decided by people like them, other citizens. It is perhaps the most precious right in our society because it means that neither the police nor politically motivated members of the judiciary or the government can railroad an innocent man or woman, sending them to prison for whim. Trial by jury prevents that happening and limits severely the power of the state. The right to jury trial dates back, of course, to Magna Carta. The original Magna Carta was issued in June 1215 and has been revised and reduced many times since then. By the end of the 13th century, there were just 37 clauses in it. It remained in that way as a law of the land until 1829, when George IV agreed to repeal Clause 26. Another 15 clauses were removed under the provision of the Statute Law Revision Act of 1863, and by the end of Victoria's reign in 1901, another 6 clauses had been removed. The last revision of the Magna Carta took place in 1969, when 6 more clauses were lopped off, leaving just 3 remaining clauses as the law of the land. The first clause only concerns the Church of England. We've granted to God and by our present charter have confirmed the Church of England shall be free, etc. Then there's clause 13, which only concerns the City of London. Then we come to clause 39, one of the final remaining clauses. No free man shall be taken or imprisoned or be dispossessed of his freehold or liberties or free customs or be outlawed or exiled or any otherwise destroyed, nor will we not pass upon him nor condemn him except by lawful judgment of his peers. Now, this ancient process is to be scrapped because an ignorant fool like David Lammy has been elevated to the position of Lord Chancellor. There's a backlog of cases to be heard in our courts, you see, and so the easiest solution to strike this man's mind was to cut out all the fuss and bother of jury trials and streamline the process, abolishing Magna Carta and the liberties and rights of the individual and his protection against the state in the process. 800 years of English history are to be swept away because this incompetent clown has been allowed loose and left to his own devices. Trust me, once we have lost this right, it will never be restored. As I say, the great irony is that the government are obsessed with the European Convention on Human Rights, as it aids foreigners to remain in our country, but are at the same time preparing to scrap one of our most fundamental rights, one which is a very long established protection against state power